Hi, welcome to the Elevate with Rachel K podcast. This is Rachel K. This is the very first episode, so it's just me talking. This podcast is tied to my company, Elevate with Rachel K, which offers courses, mentoring, and um, coaching services for travel advisors that want to build a business that builds them up. Okay. That's what I'm here for. This podcast is free 99 to listen to. You do not have to subscribe to anything. You can subscribe wherever the heck you found this. Great, grand, lovely. But there's no need to. And it's just going to be stories of my journey through being a travel agency owner, also some other entrepreneurial experiences I've had, because I am a bit of a serialpreneur over time. And my goal is I hope that these stories help you understand you're not alone in this journey. And there'll be some tips and tricks. So you don't have to do what I did. You don't have to burn yourself out. You don't have to, nope. Let's make it easy. I'm here to help you make it easy. So today's episode is all about stop comparing yourself to others as a travel advisor. Let me set the stage for you. It was, I believe, July or August of 2020. I had been working as a butler for a billionaire's family in early 2020. I attended a bridal expo. I had zero social media, by the way, set up for my travel advisor journey. I was working for another agency at the time, and I went to a bridal expo in January, and by February, I had closed enough sales. I remember looking to my ex and saying, by God, I'm going to make $70,000 in commissions this year. I'm going to be able to quit this butler job and I'm going to be able to live one of my many dream careers because apparently that's just how I live my life of being a travel advisor. I wanted to be a travel advisor when I was 17, 18 years old, and that was the late 90s. And I remember telling my dad, I want to be a DJ, I want to be a travel advisor. Those are my two careers. And he was like, no one's going to be a DJ. Satellite radio's out. Well, now look at all the podcasts. Thanks, Dad. I'm not going to get into my dad's decisions. It's fine. And then no one's going to need a travel agent. Expedia exists. And I was like, oh, so this is my opportunity to fulfill, maybe fail. Who cares? Like, I'm a huge fan of failing. Just keep failing as a travel advisor. I was very excited. So that was February 2020. We all know what happened in March of 2020. Most of us, I hope, were aware of what the situation of the world. So I went from having it all and just feeling great about life to I had goose egg income because on top of all of that, I lost my butler job and because of the COVID and I live in Missouri and the unemployment site like shut down. So I wasn't even getting unemployment. I was like, what am I gonna do here? So I decided to go all in on being a travel advisor. And pretty much everyone I knew was like, that's such a foolish decision. And I'm like, why? Well, no one's traveling ever again. The world's shut down. We don't know when it's going to reopen. And I'm like, yeah. And when it reopens, people are going to be dying to travel and so happy to have that freedom back. So I'm going to prepare for it now and just do what I can. So I was like door dashing, whatever I could to cover bills while I focused on how to build this travel agency. Where I was living, there's a lot of backstory to this because you're like, boring. All right. Where I was living at the time, the population of the entire county was 30,000. Smack dab, middle of nowhere, Missouri. The township, I guess, that I lived in, I think had 1,500 people. I would talk to them. I was like, maybe I could network like I did with my cleaning business. Um, and they were like, well, I'll just get kidnapped by the cartel. I don't know anyone, so I can't get on an aeroplane. A lot of people were like that. Don't get me wrong. There were some who were like, yeah, I'll consider it. But it was a very poor part of the state, and anyone that did have money was too afraid to go anywhere except Florida, which Florida, and I'm not talking Disney either. It was just like Florida. Like I'm gonna go to a cheap hotel in Florida. And so I was like, I have to do social media marketing to connect with my ideal clients in major metropolitan areas around the country. I don't have the money to go to different expos and set up booths and travel around that way and spread the word. I have to use social media because of where I'm at. So I was working one afternoon, and by working, I mean doom scrolling on the old socials. I think it was probably Facebook at the time. I think I just started getting into TikTok and was like, short form video, this could be great. I'm going to see what trending audios I need. And I just get sucked in. It's so toxic. And that's when I saw it. I saw some other travel advisor and I was like, wow, they're doing really well. And I looked up their website. And when I saw their website, just that feeling in the pit of my stomach, like that's my competition. My site looks like a toddler's art project. It was something my host agency provided, but it was still very clunky and dated. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I hadn't even worked on it. Like I hadn't adjusted the fonts. It was all in my host agency's branding colors because I didn't even have a logo. I was just like, cool, I got a website because I had switched from the previous agency I worked for to this host agency. Their branding was gorgeous. They had professional copy. You scrolled down to the bottom and it was like copyright some other web design company. And my website's just garbage tier. I couldn't believe how shitty I looked online compared to this other advisor. This one advisor, I don't even remember who it was. Like, I remember barely the copy and the colors right now as I think about it. Um, but I was devastated. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to compete with this company because they've got a prettier website. Like, what logic is completely lacking from my brain at this point? And I think that's another detriment of social media, like excessive social media use. So anyway, I was like, okay, well, I gotta hire this company to do my website. And I go online and I fill out their little inquiry form, and they were asking me about my brand voice and all. And I was like, I have no freaking clue what any of that means. So they never got back to me. And then I started calling around to different web designers, and they were like, price point was anywhere between 3,500 and 15,000. And I was like, I don't have any money. I don't have friends, family members, spouse to help me fund my business. I don't have commission coming in because it's 2020. I don't have unemployment because that was a whole nightmare. I can't afford a web designer. Like that would eat up a good chunk of my savings. And I was in such scarcity mindset. This whole episode's about scarcity mindset, sidebar. I was in such scarcity mindset. I was like, I don't know when my next money is coming in unless I'm door dashing, which whoop de doo, 50 bucks maybe. I'm not going to be able to make up that investment. Like that's where my mind was. And then I'm looking at their setups and I realize it's not just that one advisor, it's multiple advisors. And they're all like where I wanted to be in terms of accolades, awards, accomplishments. And I'm just like, of course they're successful. Look at what they've got set up. I'm over here with a barely functioning disaster. I don't even understand how TikTok works. We're not even going to talk about my first 3 hour escapade trying to post a 30-second TikTok. The nightmare. They had content everywhere. They had blogs, they had social posts, they had newsletters, they had lead magnet signups. I had a crappy Facebook business page and I was using content instead of focusing on who I wanted to work with and how I wanted my business to be. I was taking that junk that, oh, done for you social media content calendars, and I was just copying and pasting it over, thinking this will help me bring in business. It didn't. I got like pity bookings from some people, and that was it. Like, again, 2020, 2021. I was getting nothing. I was in the hole in my business that year. And so I was convinced my website must be the problem and I've got to build a website. So I did what any rational person would do. I dove headfirst into learning WordPress, HTML, JavaScript, C++, whatever. I don't remember all the terms. And I was like, this will be the solution to my problems. I had no business plan. I had no services. I had no policies. I just thought if my website looks pretty, people will like me. What? That's like putting lipstick on a pig. Like, it's fine. I was under a lot of stress. And I had such a scarcity mindset when I was going through this that I convinced myself, well, I'm learning a new skill. So when, not if, but when my travel agency fails, I might be able to get a job in IT doing some kind of coding. That's where my brain was, that I was just the lowest of the low, shittiest person. I was getting it from quote unquote friends that I no longer speak to. I was getting it from social media scrolling that I'm not good enough and I'm not going to be like these other advisors that seemingly have their shit together. And I just was like, this is going to, I have to come up with a secondary solution. And I was posting those copy paste crap on my Facebook business page with the images and the hashtags that were all provided and just not in my voice, having no idea what I wanted to sell people or what I wanted to do and where my place was in the travel industry. I was just trying to be like everybody else. And that's not my vibe at all. If you know me, you don't know me, but if you know me, I'm not like most other people. And not in a braggy way. I'm just saying I'm an odd duck. It's fine. But then something shifted. So couldn't afford a social media manager either. And I was like, well, I got to learn social media marketing, right? While I'm trying to build this website. And I'm just like doing, fortunately enough, no one was traveling. This was the fortunate side of things. I had all of this time to figure out what the heck I was doing wrong and never repeat it. And I signed up for a mini course that Rachel Peterson was hosting. And if you don't know who Rachel Peterson is, she's known as the queen of social media. And at the time, she was teaching, I think it was a TikTok strategy course, like a 5 day, $99. I could afford that investment. And I was like, I'm just going to have to do this. Now, I will say, if you don't have the money, you have to take the time. When you're building a business, if you don't have the money, you have to spend the time learning how to do it yourself. And conversely, if you have the money, just hire it all out. It's fine. But I didn't have the money. So day one, I still have like the 99-page thing that I printed off that I never filled in because I just used a notebook. But day one, I remember she said, guys, you're going to get through these 5 days, and I'm going to tell you, it is simple, but it is not easy. And that really stuck with me. And I want that to stick with you. That's when I realized I don't have to make this harder. I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm making my website the problem. I'm making my logo and my branding colors the absolute problem. That was not even the problem. Now, if you're listening and you heard it's simple, but it's not easy and it doesn't resonate, you don't quite comprehend what that means. Here's an example, real quickly. Simple, niching down. People tell you all the time, if you are a newer advisor and you're asking how do I build my business? Niche down. Number one, right? Pick a niche and go with it. But no one teaches you how. And then you get stuck in comparison again because you start asking questions about what should I niche down into? And then you get all these braggarts that are like, well, I did this, and for only $39.99, you too can do exactly what I did. And you don't even know if it's really something that made them money. Like, we're going to talk a lot about discernment here on this podcast too. But or they're just, this is what I did. But the ones who don't have the capacity to teach or mentor and have really focused on their niche, they're not going to be so loud about it. Um, I will say that there are some really, really high performing advisors out there, and they have like a huge team that they mentor that team, but they don't mentor everyone else, right? But no one's teaching people how to find their niche. And that's the part that's not easy. It's it's simple, niche down, pick something to sell. But it's not easy. Why is it not easy? Because we're all different. We all have unique talents, we all have unique gifts, we all have different values, and we all want to work with different types of people. So just saying niche down, well, how specific do you get? What exactly are you niching down into? Is it by destination? Is it by travel type? And so people think when they start out in the travel industry, if I just do a little bit of everything, I'll figure out my niche. And I've heard that being advised because they don't actually want to take the time to mentor and help. Well, if you just book a little bit of everything, you'll figure it out. Well, if you just book a little bit of everything, you're just basically like the Dollar Tree of the travel industry. You might as well just be a booking agent at Expedia. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. The simple versus easy. So when I heard that phrase, it's simple, but it's not easy, that's when I remembered the cleaning business I had. I started it in 13 and I was making $35 a week. I was working, yep, $35 a week is what I started making because I had one client and it was a friend of mine who had a bachelor pad and he's like, clean my living room and kitchen and the main bathrooms when I bring the ladies home. I don't look like a total slob. And I was like, this will take me about an hour. And he was like, $35 a week. And I was like, you got it, dude. And by the time I sold my company in December of 17, my company had 11 employees and was grossing $100,000 a month. So that's 3 years. I went from $35 a week to $100,000 a month. And when I started this, I'm not trying to brag, I'm just trying to, like, it's freaking possible for everyone, okay? Do it. Believe in yourself. So I didn't care back then when I had my cleaning business what my competition was doing. I was fully aware there were national franchise cleaning companies, there were regional franchise cleaning companies, there were local cleaning businesses that did about the same amount of revenue that mine did at the time of selling. There were independent people who would just clean homes that didn't even have a business. I didn't care what they were all doing. I created services based on what I was good at, what I could train people to do well and quickly, and what my clients that I wanted to work with needed. And that's when I was like, well, the whole website thing's a total time suck. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to be like all these other travel advisors. I don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars taking courses to do things their way. I can build my own thing. So I stopped trying to be like everyone else and I started just being me. Instead of copying everyone else's packages or like processes, whatever, I created services that fueled my passion for travel, and my passion is destination weddings. I will tell you that right now. I love weddings. I have done so many different little career paths that were all centered around weddings. And so I created service packages that involved wedding planning on top of group travel management because I'm like, that's what I really want to do. And at first I was like, I want 30 weddings a year that I'm planning. That's not a realistic goal, come to find out, without a full staff and I have since scaled it down to I don't want more than 8 a year. There's no reason. I don't need to have 30 weddings a year. I don't need to make $1 million a year. Um, but anyway, I created a business that gives me the time that I want to work, booking the type of travel that I enjoy booking, and I stopped worrying about everybody else. And the irony is, once I stopped trying to look like everyone else and be like everyone else, that's when I went from 1 to 2 weddings a year to 20 to 30, like people begging for a spot with me. And I was having to turn people down because I just didn't have the capacity, even with staff. I didn't have the time, and I knew I wouldn't be able to serve them properly. But that's when my business started working. And your competition might have the fancy website. They might have all these landing pages or whatever. They might have thousands of followers. They might get thousands of views on every single post. That doesn't mean they're converting them to sales. They just have a big online presence. And honestly, a lot of those travel advisors are like, look, I've got this massive group. Why don't you buy my course so you can have a massive group or a massive following? They're not closing the salespeople. They're not they're not booking travel. They're just going viral and selling you the idea if you go viral, you'll have business. No, you'll be overwhelmed. You'll have people that aren't aligned with you wanting to book trips in a niche that you don't want to sell or know anything about, but you got 60,000 views. So don't worry about going viral. Don't worry about having massive Facebook groups or whatever type of communities or followings because that's just going to lower your conversion rate. If you've got 10,000 followers and you're booking 3 trips a year, you aren't good at marketing and selling, okay? But if you've got 600 followers and you're booking 300 trips a year, you've got a pretty good conversion rate. Anyway, your competition doesn't have your perspective, your gifts, and your experiences. The algorithm doesn't need another carbon copy travel advisor. We don't. We don't need, you might as well just be AI at that point. You might as well just be cheapcaribbean.com. Like, why aren't you doing things your way and offering a unique perspective, unique services, and unique value? Because we all have that within us. We are born with all of this. Your future clients don't want someone who sounds like everyone else. They want you. They want the real you. And that's another big thing. If you read any kind of or listen to any kind of marketing podcasts, authenticity is where it's at. People want to work with people. People don't want to work with AI. People don't want to work with chatbots. I hate freaking all of the chatbots on every bit of software I have to use. Instead of being able to call a number, maybe it's because I'm old, I don't know. But instead of being able to call a number or actually chat with someone, I have to deal with this bot that's like, I don't quite understand your question. Can you select from these 3 options? And I'm like, it's literally none of these options. I need help with something more specific. And I know I'm not the only person. And that's like, people want to work with you, okay? Somebody out there wants to work with you. Somebody wants to hire you to help them with whatever type of travel service you offer. So, my biggest piece of advice is monitor your doom scroll time, your social media time. If you're spending 2+ hours a day just scrolling for quote unquote inspiration, you're not inspiring yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're beating yourself up and comparing yourself to what you think is better. We're all good, okay? Start building your own path. If you're ready to stop comparing and actually start creating your business, I shameless plug time. I have a course, $47, The Sweet Spot to Success. I'm going to link it in the description. I think this is a very good foundational course for anyone who is struggling with what do you mean niche down? That I think is the foundation of your business is if you know what you want to sell, because a sales position, you need to understand your product. If you know what you want to sell and then learn what that product is and learn who you are selling to, that is when you start creating an actual business. It'd just be like niching down would be like if you opened a clothing store. Is it for women? Is it for men? Is it for families? Is it shoes only? Is it jewelry? Like that's what niching down is. So the sweet spot to success, I have my main objective is for you to be able to get it done quickly. So I have it set up to be completed in 5 days, and it should take 90 to 120 minutes a day. You don't have to complete it in 5 days, but that's how I've got it set up day one, two, three, four, five. And there's also weekly live Q&As and a monthly hot seat coaching um, that you can join. And the live Q&As, I love the live Q&As because it's any student, any course can hop on. And it's just like we talk about what's going on in our business. And sometimes I'm the only one answering questions. Sometimes other students will collaborate and inspire each other. And it's just like a great, like true sense of community where you can connect and like spitball ideas and talk about your struggles and know that you're not alone instead of posting in some group and hoping that somebody answers your question. It's just like an hour of connection. So, thank you for making it through this episode, and I will see you later, or hear from you, or listen. Nope, I'm not doing any of those. You can listen to me later. All right, have a good day.